Meet sailing yacht Avanti and her crew, Gerard and Jacqueline. We left Cape Town in December 2021 on our floating home, heading west on an adventure of a lifetime around the world.
In this week's episode, on a gloomy afternoon, it was time to leave Moorea and head to Huahine, also known by the locals as the Wild One. We spend the day with a local at his beach hut. He teaches us some new tricks and we play traditional games.
The weather suited my mood perfectly. I loved Moorea, and with it being on the other side of the world to South Africa, I do realize that I might never see this place again. And as if the island knew I had left a piece of my heart there, the grey skies changed orange, and she gave me one last stunning sunset as she disappeared onto the horizon.
We are just about arriving in Huahine. We're about 4 nautical miles out, and at the moment we're sailing nice and calmly, kind of on a close reach. But last night was a bit of a mixed bag. We started with relatively good wind and we sailed on a broad reach for about an hour, I think. Then the wind started getting very light, and then we started motoring. We motored for about 4 hours till about 9 o'clock at night, and then the wind started picking up again, luckily. So from there on we were basically downwind from 9 o'clock last night to now, and now it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. We should be there in about an hour. So all in all, we went faster than we suspected, but unfortunately we had to motor for the 4 hours just because there was no wind, and the swell was actually about 2 meters around Moorea, so the sails were flogging quite a bit. Huahine is also very close to Bora Bora, so in the background you can see the island called Raiatea, and just behind that, literally I think like 5 miles or even less, is Bora Bora, the famous one. So we'll probably be there in about a week's time. I'm looking forward to getting there. It looks like a very pretty place, although it's very busy. It looks very nice.
We are heading over to a snorkel spot called the Nursery, and some of the other cruisers have said it's the best they've ever seen, and we've been to some pretty cool places. So I don't know if it's going to be the best, but we're very interested to see what makes it so special. And yeah, it's pretty remote out here. There's just us and two other sail yachts and a day tour that's probably leaving soon. So it's pretty remote, and exactly the type of place we normally like to snorkel.
There were thousands of fish of all shapes and sizes. As soon as we stopped, they came immediately. Later we saw why when the snorkel tour stopped and fed them bread. It was nice to see the colorful fish so close, but other than a few bommies, there wasn't much coral. Not our favorite snorkeling spot, but very nice. I think we've been spoilt in the Tuamotus, and it's going to be really hard to beat that.
This morning we met a local on the beach, and he's going to teach us how to make coconut bread, but we have to find a few coconuts first.
They have to have milk in. We need to listen. This beach belongs to a retired local named Tsiki. He comes here every day to tend to his garden and shows tourists and cruisers some of his traditions at no charge.
Step 1 for our coconut bread is to get the husks off the coconut and keep it for later. Having the right tools makes it a lot easier, as Tsiki has a metal rod that we jam into the sand to quickly get the husks off.
With another special tool, I was tasked with scraping the coconut flesh out of the nut.
While Gerard was struggling with the coconut, Tsiki showed me how to make my own shell jewelry. He makes these with shells that he picks up on the beach right in front of his garden. Then it was time for some fun. One of the most well-known traditional games is javelin throwing. The aim is to hit a coconut that's on top of a wooden rod swinging 9 meters above the ground normally. You can have up to 20 contenders that have 7 minutes to throw 10 javelins into the pierced coconut. No one could hit the coconut in our game, but normally the game starts getting difficult when there's almost no more space left in the coconut for all the javelins sticking out of it.
The canoes used by the locals is called a va'a. We have seen them in the water throughout Polynesia. I asked Tsiki if I can have a go in his, and he was more than happy for me to take a spin around. Racing with these is a very popular sport, and we find locals training throughout the day in the water. They even had a va'a race close to Avanti in Moorea. The most famous and biggest race is held in November, when people from these islands as well as Hawaii and Europe come to compete. They row between the islands of Raiatea, Huahine, Taha and Bora Bora, distances between 25 and 60 kilometers over the open ocean.
How is it?
Nice! Easy. Just doesn't turn easy. It's a skill. Time to get back to lunch. We use the coconut husks and twigs to start the fire. Breadfruit grows on a tree that can be found on all of these islands and is a staple in the local diet. They make it by throwing the whole breadfruit in the fire and burning the skin.
Then we simply have to wait for it to cool. We continue with the coconut bread by squeezing out the coconut water from the flesh into some self-raising flour. We mix it well and then go find some leaves. Yes, leaves. We make little balls and put them in between 2 leaves. And then onto the fire they go. Once the leaf completely dries out, you take it off and turn it around, and wait for the next leaf to dry out.
Now we quickly take off the skin from the breadfruit for the delicious flesh to come out. Some people take this flesh and fry it and add salt, but you can eat it without doing anything else.
While Tsiki was busy with the breadfruit, we weaved some leaf plates. And voila, lunch is ready. Beautiful, beautiful, visually.
After a really special afternoon, we hop over to the southern Anchorage. Jaw-droppingly beautiful is the only thing that I can say about this place. The mooring balls are not even charged for. The water was crystal clear, and we could clearly see Avanti's shadow 12 meters below us.
Today I'm trying a new tool to de-husk the coconut. So I've already de-husked it, and it worked much better with a chisel. I saw a technique of the local at where we made the coconut bread, and it was much easier if you have a solid pole like rebar in the ground, but on the boat it's difficult. So the chisel worked well, and I'm going to try that to crack it open in the middle as well. Seems to be going. This one breaks open a bit, but once it starts cracking, it tends to go all the way around. There, you can see it's cracked, and see if I can get the coconut water out. There you go, fresh coconut.
The hotel in the bay had a really nice dinghy dock, and normally hotels don't really like yachts and cruises, and we try to stay away. But they welcomed us ashore, and we walked down the street to have a look at life on Huahine, until a friendly local told us that it's happy hour at the hotel and it's going to be a beautiful sunset and would be worth it to return. And he really wasn't wrong.
Today I'm tasting a craft beer that's brewed in Tahiti. It's called a Matavai. There's not many craft beers around, so I was pleasantly surprised to see this one on the shelf at the shop. It's a Pacific Pale Ale. I don't know what that means, probably just a pale ale brewed in the Pacific. And it's a 330ml bottle with 6% alcohol. The cost of this one in the shop is around $4 US dollars. So it is quite pricey, but as we've said before, beer in Tahiti or beer in French Polynesia in general is extremely pricey. You can see it's nice and cloudy, like a pale ale should be, and it's probably carbonated, doesn't have a lot of foam. So yeah, let's see how this one tastes. It's got a little bit of an undertone of a fruity taste, not as fruity as some pale ales, and yeah, you can taste the carbonation. So I don't like if a beer is too heavily carbonated. It makes it taste like a fizzy drink almost. So I think in terms of cost, taste and size of this one, I'm gonna have to rate it a 5 out of 10. So not a great beer for me. Yeah, what can I say?
The last stop was the main town of Fari, a convenient place to do provisioning with a large supermarket and the most baguettes we've ever seen at once.
This is insane. We're walking around Huahine and that shop is playing Afrikaans music. I don't know the artist or the song, but it's actual Afrikaans words coming out of a Chinese store or selling Chinese goods in French Polynesia. Insane.
They have very bad taste.
Thank you for exploring Huahine with us. Next week, we visit sister islands, Raiatea and Taha, for an amazing unexpected adventure. Thank you for our Patreons who support the making of these videos monthly. If you'd like to join the gang, you can find the link in the description below. Alternatively, please remember to like the video. Leaving comments and subscribing is also well worth the effort. See you next week.